In a recent research carried out on marriages and the high rate of divorce, 5 things have been identified as the major reasons for this high rate of divorce. The first of which is lack of communication and conflict resolution. The second is financial stress and differences in financial values. The third is changing social and cultural norms. Fourth, lack of commitment and unrealistic expectations. And the fifth is increased independence and decreased accountability amongst couples. Now, if you look at these 5 things, of these 5, we'll be focusing on one of them. If indeed parents want their children to be more successful than them, then it is important that these values, these areas are addressed early, even before they go into marriage. And for the young ones also, you don't want to go into that institution and then you have to go out of it based on these issues that you can easily address even before going in. So what do you need to do before you go into that institution? These and many others are what we're going to be discussing in this episode. I'm sure that you want a good and a successful marriage for yourself and for your children. So it's important that you get them together right now and let's all discuss this very important topic together. I'd like to see you on the other side.
Waking up at dawnlight, breaking through, chasing dreams, no time to lose. In this race we strive and grind, motivation fuels the mind. Gonna rise up, we won't fall, breaking barriers through it all. Step by step our journey's clear, success is closer, don't you fear. Challenges we face headstrong, in this rhythm we belong. Skies are high, but so are we, building castles where we're free. Gonna rise up, we won't fall.
All right, you're welcome back. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. No one gets into marriage and says, I'm going into this and after 2 years, I'm going to break up. Nobody does that. But then it does happen. But the thing is this, how do you prevent this? Just like I highlighted in the research that has been carried out, of all the reasons that has been attributed to high level of divorce, the finance aspect carries about 41%. That makes it very significant. And if it's that significant, then we should be able to address it as early as possible. Of course, as a parent, you say, I want my children to be better than me. So it's not only going to be financially, it's not going to be academically, it has to be financially and maritally also. So if you have identified something like this, then we can look at it and see how we can mitigate against such. So in the light of this, I want you to pay attention. If you're already married and you never had cause to identify these things and it's giving you challenges now, oh, it's very good. You can just look at it right now. And if you are planning to go into marriage, then it's good also that you sit down, take your pen and paper and take note. Well, before I go on, I want to say a big thank you to every one of us that have always been on the call and always sharing this content with your friends and things. God bless you. And for those of us, maybe this is the very first time you have seen this channel, I want to say thank you. It's good you are here. Well, you would like to know that this is about the 51st edition of this program, and the theme of the program is called Financial Intelligence for Smart Parents. So you might not be a parent now, but then you are going to be one. So the earlier you learn financial intelligence, the better for you. For you to be able to see the previous ones that we've done, we've talked about how to set goals, how to create financial budget for your family, how to set aside funds for retirement, how to create what you call your emergency reserve funds, and so much more. We even talked about the stock market and so some other things like that. So for you to be able to get this information, I would like you to click on the subscribe button. Just look below. You are going to see subscribe there below this video. Just click on that subscribe and you'll be able to have access to the previous video. And also, I would like you to like the video and also share it with your friends. There's somebody out there that needs to get this information. All right, so having taken that out of the way, let's go straight into what we have. You see, often said that marriage is the only institution where you receive your certificate even before you begin to attend the classes. You remember, at the point where you get to the registry or the court or something, you are tendered a marriage certificate. And after the marriage certificate, then you now go into the marriage itself. Can you imagine? Then you begin to learn. And unfortunately, some get expelled from the institution within the first 1 year, 2 years, and so on. And then some, you see them after 20, 30 years, something happens and then they fall out. And maybe you are at the brink of doing that. You have to sit down. If finance is one of the major issues, then it's something that we can resolve and have a better understanding on. So taking finance, just singling finance out of every other thing, because in this class we talk more on financial intelligence. So we're going to be singling out the financial aspect. I tell you, if the financial aspect is worth taking care of, it's going to help you a great deal. So let's look at it. One of the first things that you need to do before saying I do, before going to tie the knot, is you have to have a proper communication with your spouse. And there you must have what you call full financial disclosure. You know, in finance world, we love that statement that you must have full financial disclosure. If it is not disclosed and it's discovered, it becomes a fraud. So if you don't want it to be a fraud, then disclose it. We don't want to have this Yahoo boy surprise. It doesn't matter whatsoever it is. Be open to discuss the finances together. Do you gamble? Do you bet? Whatsoever it is that you do as far as money is concerned, you want to lay it on the table. What are the money habits that you have? You want to discuss it. Oh, it's not just taking ourselves to Starbucks just to go drink coffee or something. Can we discuss our financial lives? What are our financial values? How do you treat money? What's your opinion about savings? What's your own opinion about investment? We discuss this thing before we go into it. And if there are people that I am financially obligated to, I want to discuss it with you, you want to discuss it with me. And also we want a situation where we can say that out of our income, when we settle, I might be earning now, or the other person might not be earning, but we want to agree that out of our income, this amount, this percentage is going to our parents. One of the challenges that we found out that has affected a lot of marriages is that, one person's parents can be financially okay, that they might not need anything directly from the children, and the other may not be. So this one wants to send the parents some money and has to do it kind of secretly. Then one day this person knows, and then it becomes an issue. If you discuss this together, let's agree. out of our income. And of course, you remember, if as for children, he said, children, honor thy parents. So if it doesn't matter whether your parents need the money or not, just put something aside to take. Remember the man they called Jacob. Jacob had to give his father venison for him to receive blessing. And the blessings of the parents are wonderful. So the important thing now is put it in your budget. Also, you want to look at your siblings. All of them might not be successful at the same time. Everybody might not get up there at the same time. But you have an obligation. In these days, people say, oh, it's I and my wife, I and my partner. No, it's not that in the African setting. When you marry somebody, you are married into that family. And you have to see yourself as one. So, those siblings and things, one way or the other, make provisions for them also. It will help the marriage. This is where the issue of budgets comes in. Our budgeting, we took a class on budgeting, that everything that we need to do, we should put it in the budget. So there's going to be a link to the budget video. You can watch the budget video and then download the budget template. You will need it so much as you go along. The next thing that we need to talk about is debt management. Debt management is something that has destroyed a lot of families. When we don't disclose, oh, this is the kind of debt I'm having. I remember there's a story even in the Bible where a man, a prophet, was owing so much money. I doubt if the wife actually knew about it, because she will have find something to do. But when the man died, they came to pick up the children, to use the children as set-offs for the loans that the man took. Who knows, maybe the man took the money to take care of the family, but then there was no disclosure. So as you go into marriage, it must be agreed between the two partners that if we have to go take loans, if we have to go into debt, these are the conditions for us going into debt. I would say because I'm working in an office, I have access to the car loan. Before I take the car loan, I want my spouse to know about it. If anything goes wrong with the loan, if anything goes wrong, the two of you are affected. So when you discuss those things, it helps a lot in managing the pressure in the family. Debt is a very crucial thing to discuss. And there's no amount that is too small. Oh, I want to collect asoebi, and then you see they are selling asoebi in the office, you just pick it up. You didn't even tell your partner that there's an asoebi that you want. It looks so small, 3,000, 2,000, but you need to commit. You need to discuss before you commit. All right. So that is that. Then the next thing that we want to look at is joint versus separate account. Now, this is one major issue that many persons don't discuss before they get into this institution, and it causes a lot of problem. Now, you see, there's what we call my money versus our money. Now, you see, to avoid that kind of situation, before we go into it, before we begin to attend the school, we want to look at how should we keep our finances? Is it a joint account, or should we have separate account? Should we say this is you are responsible for this, or you are responsible for that? Now, at times when you say joint account, it may not necessarily mean, put in the account in the name of Mr. and Mrs. So and so. It may not necessarily be, but then it can be structured. But there's something that is always important. You see, when you don't know what the other person is receiving as an income, it will give room for unrealistic expectations. Now, it can be a situation where the husband sees his wife working in a very good place and is expecting that, my wife is working in a particular place, and you expect her to maybe take up the fees of the children or take up the house rent. But the wife is looking and saying, oh, my husband should be taking care of this. So it is good that when you sit down, you're able to discuss this together before you go into it. It is good that we discuss, how do we manage joint expenses? What are the expenses that we should take? And now you see something where we talk about this disclosure thing. It is common amongst men when the man, in most cases, when they are going into the marriage, the man seems to be maybe the one that's earning more. And at that point, we'll be looking, oh, I don't want to tell my wife. If I tell my wife everything, oh, our demands will be so much, our expectation will be this and that and that. Well, it's because you've not worked with that budget, as we said. If you said, this is what I earn, this is what I'm earning, and this is our budget, we are going to plan for all our expenses. Now, do you know what always happens? At the beginning, it may be the man that is having good income. Something happens along the line. Life just happens. It just happens. And the woman now begins, maybe she's into business and her business is thriving well, even better than what the husband is doing. Now the man begins to look, I don't even know how much she's earning. No, but she never knew how much you were earning at the beginning. It is not now that you want it to be open. So these are things that needs to be discussed. Don't shy away from this kind of discussion. Let's look at ourselves, eyeball to eyeballs, and discuss this thing before we even go into marriage. All right. Now, the next thing that is important is what we call the emergency fund. It's the kind of money that you preserve, you keep for yourselves in case of any emergency. Now listen to this aspect. Though we said it is important that we have a kind of joint account. If you follow that video that the presentation we did on the richest man in Babylon, where one of the laws says 10% of whatsoever you earn is yours to keep. So let's take it for instance that the woman is working and earning maybe 2 million, and then the husband too is working and earning about 1 million. Now, probably, one is earning more than the other. Now, by the finance law, it is important that 10% to 20% of the woman's income goes into her own saving. And then the 10% of the husband's income goes into his own savings or investment. Those are different. Before we now pull the family finance together, then from the family finance, we now create a savings and an investment account also. Did you get what I'm trying to say? Both of us are earning. And because this one is doing a business, this one is having whatsoever, you must have your own. Each person have, and we kind of hold ourselves responsible for such an account. I wouldn't say because it's mine, then you don't have the right to know. Yes, it's because it's a joint thing. I want to hold my husband responsible. I want to hold my wife responsible for creating his or our own emergency fund. Also, the family fund, out of the total of the family fund, we should create our reserve funds. That means 10% to 20% of the total money that we bring together should be used for another emergency fund, account fund. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, at points comes in life when you will really need such monies. We always say it in our cooperative, we say, monies that you have not saved will not save you. And you don't want to work this hard, and then when you need it most, the money is not there. So, and from the rules and principles of savings, it is always said that you must have at least 6 months expenses. 6 months expenses in your emergency reserve fund. When we say 6 months expenses, it means that if you maybe the monthly expenses of the family is about maybe 500,000 naira monthly, That means you should have 500,000 times 6. That gives about 3 million in the family's emergency reserve fund. You get it? Why should we have that kind of money? Because if anything happens, with maybe job loss or anything, it shouldn't be in the first month that everything just go gaga. We should be able to manage ourselves when things happens like that. Nobody prays for them to happen, but they do happen. So have your emergency and plan together on how we're going to be needing, how we're going to be putting together our emergency reserve fund. And in line with that also, we must also agree to have the family insurance, especially the family's health insurance. The family's health insurance is very key, and not just for you, for the children and for close relatives. If you can't do it, if you can't sponsor the close relatives zone, then you need to go encourage them to do it. Because if anything happens to them, they will have recourse to come back to you, and you will be obligated, out of the savings that you have had, you will be obligated to help them. So for that not to be, you try to inculcate that teaching. Part of the things you are discussing with your uncles, with your aunts, with your siblings is, it's important. Let's keep our health insurance. I tell you, you never know when it will come handy. The next thing that is important also is alignment of goals. Alignment of goals. We have, in the long run, 2 years from now, where do we see ourselves as couples? In the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. So what is our plan, financial plans? What is our housing plan? Do we plan to buy or build a house? These are things that we need to discuss before we even set out. Ladies and gentlemen, these things are necessary for you to really, really put together and have a sound discussion even before you set out at all. Have a day in a month where you have the money talk. Silence breeds resentment. I may want to buy an iPhone 16 and the wife is thinking of something else, to buy something to decor the house and things. Before you know it, oh, why did you go buy this? But if every month we sit down together, especially in our budget creation time, then, most of these things, major expenses, would have been discussed. And at times, what helps a lot of people is anything above 10,000 naira should not be taken. That kind of expenses should not be taken without your partner knowing. I'm just putting 10,000 naira. It could be anything depending on your financial status. But, most couples want to put a kind of benchmark or anything above 50,000 naira before you take that kind of expenses on yourself or on behalf of the family. It is good we have a discussion. For some, you can be a millionaire, it could be for 500,000, it could whatsoever. Just set a kind of benchmark, and as the marriage progresses, as your finance continues to increase, you continue to increase it, because there will be different obligations, so that there is no constraint in the relationship. So I want to believe some of these things would help you greatly indeed. Lastly, before we wrap it up, you see, decision making is very, very crucial as far as relationship is concerned. Now, one of the major things that we have seen that is posing as a big challenge for most couples is this. Most of us, we take decisions before we communicate with our spouse. Maybe, I'm always taking decisions, I'm a decision taker, and by the time I want to do something, maybe we want to buy a new car. I know we need a car in the house. and I have concluded we are buying a Mercedes-Benz GL 450. That's what I'm going to buy. I'm going to see it, and then I come home and I tell my wife, "Come, sweetheart, we're going to buy a car. It's going to be GL 450 Mercedes-Benz." And then the woman does not even like the GL 450, but the man has decided and said. And now the woman now comes against it and I say, "Why is it that every time I bring something, you're always coming against it?" Oh, the truth is this. You came up with a decision. You did not bring it up for discussion. So always try before you come to a decision, before you arrive at a decision on things that will affect the couple, have a discussion. Don't make a conclusion. Never get to a conclusion until a discussion has been entered into. I hope this tip will help you as you get into it. And then maybe you're already in it. I want to look at, there are some of these things that you need to sit down. It can always be discussed. Number one rule, one of the things that help marriages, number one is communication. Another very important one that will help you in your marriage, number two, is what? Communication. And then the third one that is as important as the first two is also communication. So what am I trying to say? Communication is key. Never give room for assumption. He's supposed to know. He's supposed to know. Discuss it, no matter how simple or flimsy it tends to be. I hope you are able to get one or two things from this. Just put it in the comment section what you think is more of value to you in this presentation. And if this is your very first time, I think you get some value here. Why don't you just click on the like button? I want you to click on the like button. It costs you nothing, guys. It costs you nothing. Just click on it. Also, share it with your friends. Put it in your WhatsApp group. Put it on your Facebook. Let a lot of your friends get to know about this. Somebody is about to get wedded. Somebody is getting to that institution. Let them get this information. Don't say, "Oh, if I had known, I would have told them this." Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Do have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.
Waking up at dawn, light breaking through, chasing dreams, no time to lose. In this race we strive and grind, motivation fuels the mind. Gonna rise up, we won't fall, breaking barriers through it all. Step by step our journey's clear, success is closer, don't you fear. Challenges we face headstrong, in this rhythm